Hello, everyone. It's the old skipper here. Just wishing you a good day. And we're going to have a little bit of a different format now that we're back. I'm going to be inviting Austrian Stacker to represent Austria, and Dale from Coin World UK represent Great Britain. And I will be representing Canada. And occasionally we may find someone who might want to represent the United States. And we're going to talk not just about the coinage, but about the history that went on during the time that coinage happened to be out in mainstream. So I hope I'm finding everybody fine. It's absolutely a gorgeous day here up in Edmonton, Alberta. How is it in your locale? I would love to know. Christopher Ty, I see, is in the house. Nice to see you. Babes in Toyland and other things. Wow. That's so nice to see. Yeah, we had quite a break there, almost over 2 months, I think, that we hadn't come up to say hello to everybody. But we're going to try to get back into the throng of things and get back on track and maybe share some great ideas with you. Ran so far away. It's so nice to see. I'm actually been working diligently this morning on my Canadian coin collection here, doing a little bit of a review, and it's quite interesting stuff that we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be starting back in 1858. I tend to start that time frame because that's the first time the Heat Mint in the UK was actually starting to produce coins for the colony of Canada. Again, we didn't get confederated until 1867, so this is pre-confederation stuff that I'm going to start off with. And 1858, actually, we saw the formation of our colony, and one of the things that really kicked off the increase in folks coming over to Canada was that we actually had our own gold rush here, and it dramatically increased the population that we had up in Canada. Hello, King Trump 2024. My goodness. Yes, the coins that we had back then were a little bit different than what we have today. They were either far smaller or far larger than what we're used to. I'll give you a quick example here. We'll just go take a look at the 1858 Canada 1 cent. And it was quite large. Again, this was not produced in Canada. It was produced in the UK. In the reverse here, as you can see, it's got quite a nice design. I really love the idea of having all the different maple leaves around the outer edge. And of course, you can see quite a few denticles in this one. And as you can see, we have our Queen Victoria on the obverse, a young Queen Victoria at the time. Have any of you out there picked up any coinage along this lines? That's right, babes in Coinland. Yeah, Confederation was 1867. Yeah, we also had in 1858. We also had the dime that was produced, the 10 cents. And this one's pretty well worn, but I mean, if you were this age, you'd probably be pretty well worn too. It's interesting that during 1858, during that time frame, William Lyon Mackenzie was quite prominent. He wasn't a very nice man, from what I understand. Very uncompromising and often very difficult to deal with. Typical Victorian man, I guess. Let's see what we got here in our comment area here. George III, not Canadian coins, no. No, comparatively from Great Britain, we're a fairly young nation, and it's interesting when you start getting further and further back. You start seeing that things like silver were very hard. Silver coins were hard to come by unless you were dealing with the Spanish reals and whatnot. Uh, the British didn't want to send silver over to Canada or the United States during the time that they were ruling that part of the continent. But you'll find actually it was Nova Scotia was probably the most prominent in finally starting to set up the coin system that we have today. In fact, that they did it primarily because they wanted to be able to match what was going on in the United States. So they started to get away from the old British pounds and shillings and whatnot, and they went to the dollars and the the dimes, the nickels, and the pennies or 1 cent. Pretty well. Yeah, that's very well said. You keep the money at home strategy. That's what they were trying to do. They wanted the actual silver and gold to stay in the mother country. Yeah. The other thing too is during the time that these particular coins came out, um, uh, there was a lot of controversy over colonizing the native population and essentially assimilating them into the Canadian Settler Society uh, by encouraging enfranchisement. If I got that one right. Um, yeah, that's why a lot of controversy is going on in Canada right now with regards to the way the natives were treated. Yeah, it's interesting to note too when you start talking about the the natives and dealing with the Aboriginal people here. It's only as of late when they start recognizing just how poorly they were being treated, and we don't even refer to them in Canada here as Indians. A lot of the U.S. still refer to them as Indians. We don't. They're by their the names of their given. They I went to visit a reserve and I used the word tribe wrong. They have a cuss box. You're not supposed to. It's a band, and uh, they have different parts of the confederation for all the Aboriginals, including the Métis, and so they like being called First Nations or Aboriginal. Well, there's certainly a lot more of the French than there is the Aboriginal part of the population. Um, I think Canada did make an admirable attempt to placate the French in Canada, henceforth why we became a bilingual country clear across from the sea to sea. But if you actually cross Canada, you'll note that most of your French is spoken in Quebec and New Brunswick, whereas the rest of Canada, the primary language spoken is English. However, the English language, if you don't know if you don't know French and you want to get into a government position, your chances of getting into a position are far greater if you learn French as well as English. Yeah, and the other thing too you got to understand is during the time around the 1850s, Britain's commitment to Canada was starting to wane quite a bit because its investments were receding, and so it was costing them more in costs and risks than it was actually getting some benefit out of it. And that also happened with India, Australia, and other countries elsewhere within the Dominion. Yeah, Canada sure has changed. Nouveau-Brunswick, mais oui. Yeah, when I traveled through New Brunswick I actually lived in St. John for a while, and mostly English spoken in St. John. You got to remember in that area of St. John, New Brunswick, a lot of the United Empire Loyalists settled after the American Revolution. So a great deal of the people there spoke English. But as you go further north and towards Quebec, and get into Edmundston and whatnot, you're seeing a lot more French. Yeah, I had the occasion many years ago to actually try to hitchhike from St. John to Windsor, Ontario, and I actually caught a big rig who I ended up swamping for to pay my way. And as we're going through all the areas in Quebec, you really could see and hear the difference. Yes, ran so far away that Saint Pierre Miquelon. Yeah, it's still a possession of France. Yeah, that's actually that's where my first house was not too far from the Alpine Brewery. I used to look out my window and I could see the pulp mill, and the Reversing Falls was directly below me. Always got that sweet smell of pulp. Ugh, it's awful. Yeah, we found that it wasn't conducive to our health to carry on up there, so we went to East St. John and lived there for the remainder of the time I lived in New Brunswick, and that was a little more palatable to the taste buds and the nose. But it's an interesting city. I mean, you want to see history. There's a lot of history going on in that place. Especially you get up towards the old Admiral Beatty Hotel, and they have the United Empire Loyalists. You have the cemetery. They actually turned it into a public park, and that was quite an interesting thing to see. But yeah, just think of the coins that are still available to you. You know what they were floating around during that time. It was kind of cool. Moosehead, schooner, 10-penny. Yes, remember them well. Used to buy that. I was introduced to quart bottles of beer. Yeah, they did not go down the same way as a snub nose, I'll tell you. Yeah, it was a different life. Wish I could have held on to some of the coinage that I had passed through my hands during those early years. So, yeah, I don't know how many of you are actually collecting using books, but whether in the U.S. you're using the Dansko albums or whatever might be of a Whitman and whatnot. In Canada, Lighthouse has put these up. They're the Vista albums. They're phenomenal. They're absolutely the best ones you can get up here. And they are as good a quality as the Dansko albums are. But unfortunately, they don't make a good set of US. But it's great to get a hold of these if you can. There's 14 in a set, and that'll cover you right through your 1 cents all the way through to your dollars. They're actually toonies. Books. Yeah, a lot of people rely strictly on the internet and looking up stuff. Google the information they need, and there are a lot of good sites. Coinsincanada.com is a good one for what's the one? There's one there, the Wildwood. That's for your ancients. You could use that. But I'm a confirmed believer that if you are a hardcore collector, if you want to be in the numismatics, you should get a new book every year. Now, the old ones you can pass on to your kids or grandkids if they want, so you can get them in the hobby, which is what I do. Pick up a new one. And that way you can browse through it. It gives you a lot of great information on the coins. Of course, this one here isn't the Charleston. This is the Coins of Canada, which is a good book, but it's got a little bit different feel to it than the Charlton book. But it gets right down into things like grading coins, and that's a big issue now with grading. There's a number of new companies that have popped up, and I don't know, how do you feel about it? I'm a firm believer still in having grading companies that are upper tier, vice the newer ones. There's even one, I forget what the name of it is now in the US, that's just popped up. People are having a lot of issues with it. We have our own grading companies up here in Canada as well, but they don't put the one company doesn't put them in slabs. They're just in sealed envelopes, but apparently they do a pretty good job of grading. NGC, PCGS, yeah, those are upper tier. But even with them, I know a lot of guys will crack them out of the case, and if they're not satisfied, send it to the other person to try to get the maximum grade in the things. Again, if you're just collecting for the sake of collecting, you're not worried about so much the grade, even though it's nice to get nicer ones. Just get them in your books, and even the poorer ones can be used as a placeholder until you find a nicer one. Oh, very good. I bought a bunch of silver and gold Saturday. That's interesting. Including a 1907 half sovereign gold coin. Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, Dale just sent me a coin here for Christmas there. It was, see if I get it right now. It was referred to as the Barmaid's Ruin. He called it the Barmaid's Ruin. And apparently it's one of the only coins that's pre-decimal from Great Britain that's still considered legal tender. Somehow they missed it. I'm not sure exactly how that worked out, but yeah, it was quite a surprise. And of course, it was sterling silver, so it was even a better surprise. A nice little Christmas gift. £4 plus 20 pence. Yeah, I wouldn't I wouldn't take that barmaid's ruin and try to buy anything with it, because it was worth a lot more than the face value. Yeah, I've just started browsing this the newer version of this here, and it doesn't have a huge amount of information, but it does give some insights into some of the differences. As we all know, it can be very, very small differences that'll make a coin valuable. A good example is our 1936.1 cent. Just taking a quick glance to see. Yeah. Channels like Nick Molnar's is one of the ones that I enjoy going to for the information that he provides on the coins themselves, dimensions and metal content, etc. Oh, thanks for sharing that with us, Christopher. Yeah, I understand that it wasn't very long lived. I'm gonna have to dig that out. I got it in my British album now. Last year, as many of you may not know, I liquidated my entire U.S. collection of coins, and now I feel like one of my arms is missing. Like, oh no, why did I do that? I don't know. But so I'm starting from scratch. But unlike previous years where I just accumulate as much as I could and then got them in albums after, I'm going to essentially just take a few decent albums and start working by filling in the gaps. And so I'm looking for some Dansko albums in the US because I tend to like them better. And I'm seeing straight up metal detecting. Wait a minute. That's Tripwire. How you doing? My goodness, it mustn't be very busy out in Michigan today. Yeah, our modern coinage is I think it's prettier, but it doesn't have the character that some of the older stuff have. I mean, we've seen all kinds of like look at this here. That is a cool design to put on a coin. Or this thing. I mean, wow. Those are nice looking coins. But it's the older ones. It's the older ones that really get me. It's like something about them that, besides the historical value, I mean, a lot went on from 1858 to now, and that coin has passed through how many hands? It's hard to believe. I agree. The older coins tend to have more character. Even the banknotes. If you take a look at the notes, the artwork on some of those old bills is just outstanding. It looks like a master had painted them. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, okay. Let me know when you find one. I did find one. I have one in my collection, but it's got a scratch on it. That's the 73 Mountie large bust quarter. Those are really gems to find if you can find one. Well, thank you. Yeah, this live feed is essentially just to kickstart our new format. Again, Austrian Stacker and Dale at Coin World UK and I have decided on doing a joint effort to get ourselves kickstarted, primarily on discussing the history around the coins that we have in our possession. And even if you don't like, I'm still working on it. My 1947 Maple Leaf and 1948 silver dollars are the ones that have me stumped before I can finish my silver dollar collection. And that's essentially because they're so rare, the costs are prohibitive. So unless I want to come out of retirement, I don't think so. And I'm not going to put in extra hours next Christmas. I'm sorry. That wore me out. So I'm going to do the best I can. Oh, very nice. Yeah, the finding coins is, if you get a decent coin in a mint set, that's wonderful to find that. Yeah. So I can honestly say to those that are wondering, I was not walking the decks of a ship in 1858, even though it's something I probably wouldn't enjoy, because if you ever saw what life was like at sea back in those days, it was not an easy life. My goodness. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to get the Charlton, because this one here, even though it has some information on it, it just doesn't have the history that I would love to have. There we go. Oh, so let's go back to that 1858 coin that I was talking about here. All right. The large cent Victoria for the province of Canada, it was during 1858 and 1859 they had this one. It was, again, quite a handsome looking coin. Her hair was a braid worn through. The basic obverse design is a bust separated from the legend by a beaded circle. It's said to have been copied from the Napoleon III bronze coinages of France. That I didn't know. 1853 to 1870. The Canadian obverse shows a very youthful Victoria with a laurel wreath in her hair, and was designed and engraved by the Royal Mint's famed engraver Leonard C. Wyon. The reverse was also by L.C. Wyon and has a serpentine vine with 16 maple leaves. There are numerous slight variations involving recutting of some of the leaf stems or the vine stalk. The coins were conceived to be used also as convenient units of measure. The diameter is exactly 1 inch, and 100 unworn pieces weigh 1 avoirdupois pounds. Avoirdupois. Nevertheless, they were not very popular at first and were discounted, sometimes by as much as 20% to get them into circulation. So that's an interesting thought. The other thing too is they did have different designs for the numbers, and the numbers can be wide with a bold 9 over the 8. Early form was a late form narrow 9, and they also had double punched 9s that you could look for. They were erroneously called a narrow 9 over an 8. So there are differences in the coins themselves. Again, that's one of the wonderful things about these things. Current prices, book price here is for the 1858. There's 421,000 of these coins that were actually made that were not the narrow 9 variety. And a G-Force worth $50, right up to a BU-63 red, which is worth $1,000. I can guarantee you mine's not worth that much. But yeah, there's all kinds of really cool things to look at here. Yeah, you know what? I do feel for you, and I do understand where you're coming from. Actually, that's one of the things that I had to deal with, because again, last year I had my I'm retired, of course, and I had a furnace and a hot water tank disaster. I had to not only liquidate all my silver stack, which paid for it all. It was nice. My wife didn't know where it was coming from. And then I still had a shortfall, so I decided to liquidate my US coin collection. And I used that to get everything up to par without digging into my meager little pension. And so that hurt. I mean, that's it's like, okay, there's a huge chunk of my hobby gone out the door. But as I learned before, when you get rid of what you don't want, you're going to end up getting what you do want eventually. And so I'm hoping to see that those gaps start popping up again and being filled. So yeah, my US coins will eventually start trickling in, but nothing like I had before. I mean, I had quite a nice collection there, but that hasn't stopped me with my Canadian and world coin collection I have. And the Canadian coin collection, I'm really going to be working on getting more of the nickels and the dimes, the older ones. Anybody know what we used to call the Canadian nickels back when they were really tiny? There's a quick test for you. Yeah, and like many of you too that have kind of diversified your hobby. I've gotten really into the metal detecting during the night. Of course, up in Canada, where we do have weather restrictions quite a bit here. So, but I had a lot of fun. I've really found some incredible treasures metal detecting. A lot of the coins aren't good enough to put in my books, but some of them are, especially the silver ones. So, what are some of the oldest coins that you folks have collected that happen to be Canadian? Oh, we've gone pretty quiet in the house. Okay. I would also be interested in seeing if any of you have any ideas that we could incorporate into our live feeds, uh, so that you can more and more enjoy the time that we have together, and possibly down the road even to the point where we might be sharing each other's collections out again. Um, Again, most of it is in this channel will be history related, so it may not be as long a session as some of the other ones. Going 3, 4, 5 hours, I better have a really good reason to be going there, and don't want you to end up going cross-eyed. Yeah, you know what, Numismatic King, that's very true. If you're, unless you're very, very wealthy and you can afford the types of coins that are investment quality, no, this is a hobby. It's a nice hobby, and like I said, and I've always said that the beauty of being a numismatist is that you can be flat broke and still have money. I mean, it's cool. Yeah, if you're put in a position where you have to deal with dealers, um, that's a tough one, because they also have to make a profit, but they also, a lot of them, depending on how honest they are, they're looking at getting it for as cheap as they can get, and they will take you to the clean. Many of them will take you to the cleaners if they get a chance. You got to be careful. If you have the time, and that's the biggest issue when you're under pressure and you're running short of money. Um, if you have the time, sell them in other ways other than at a coin dealer, especially a brick and mortar location, because they got expenses. You're not going to get the money that you'd hope for. So whether it be eBay or Discord or all the various social media outlets that you can auction things off on, check them out. Even Facebook Marketplace has got stuff there. Just look around, find the best group that you can, with some honest collectors, not so much dealers. Again, even dealers without a brick and mortar location are looking for deals. Find a place where you can sell them for the highest price you can get. I took my US collection in, and I can honestly tell you I got a quarter of what I would normally have sold it for. A quarter. I had the entire collection. I know a lot of you guys don't like the US presidential dollars, but I had the entire collection of Philadelphia and Denver in a beautiful album. And he gave me $135 for it. That was it. I'm like, wow, that's not even counting, getting close to half of what I paid for it. How's it going, Boo? Yeah, you have to use common sense and try not to end up in a desperate situation. It certainly can ruin the hobby for a lot of people, especially if they fall into that situation where they have to deal with the dealers. One of the places that I have found was and again, it depends on where you're living. If you want to sell your coins, go to your local coin club. Now, we have the Edmonton Numismaniac Society here, and they host Canada's largest coin show every year. And what they do is you can consign coins to the coin show, and they will sell your coins for you at the coin show. And they take a tiny little bit off the top, not much. I think it's like 5%. And all the rest is yours. They do all the work. And it's at a coin show where collectors will pay decent prices for it, unlike a coin dealer. So there's another option you can look at. Auctions are great, but I will forewarn you, and I watch it every day, including online. Have your book next to you. Whether if you're in the States, have your gray sheets. Red book's not quite as good. Have your gray sheets with you. And if you're looking at buying coin, don't just buy a coin for the sake of buying a coin. If you have something that you want in your collection, it's like going through the till at a supermarket, and they always put the chocolates right there, and you're going to want to grab it, and because it's impulse buy. Don't do that. When you go into the auctions online, look at the coins, see if it's one that you like. Look up the various prices that are paid for these coins so that you're not overpaying and you're going to get the best deal. So you can come in and you can keep your bid at a reasonable level. And honestly, there are a group of us that get together just for entertainment's sake and watch various auctions online. I'm not going to tell you who we watch, but we watch a lot of them. And we're sitting there together in Discord, and we're going, no, don't buy it. Not that one. That's too much, Or, great deal. Yes, you scored. It's entertaining for us. Yeah, well, my kids never cried because they usually got it, boo. So yeah, when with the hobby, I think the number one thing, and I think everybody will agree with me, is common sense. If you want it and it's something that's going to enhance your collection, go for it. Yeah, we're on Discord. Actually, I'm part of the Silver Picker Squad, so I'm in with that group, and we do these grab bags. And it's kind of like, I hate to drop a name, kind of like the Secret Santa. And we'll set, we have one person coordinating, a wonderful person, the handle of Bug Rolly, I think her name was, or his name. And they coordinate it, and you have a choice between $100 or a $200 grab bag. Now, here's how this works best. You get to know the people in the Discord as to what they collect. And so that when you have a person that primarily collects US or British or Austrian or world or whatever, Canadian, whatever it might be, you get to know them, what they're. I got one guy who's really big on ancients, which is kind of cool too. You have an idea of who you would be buying or getting a grab bag from, and you let them know, well, I collect US, or I collect everything. And Bug Rolly will put all the names in the hat that have agreed to go into the grab bag, and it's either $100 or $200 one. They have little stipulations, like it's got to have at least one piece of silver, one unusual item, an exonumia thing, and try not to duplicate, put the same. You get a pile of coins, they're all the same. You want to get rid of them, you toss them all, and we don't do that either. we get a variety, and you're responsible to ensure that you are getting a minimum of $100 or $200 worth of coins in those grab bags. I have never, ever gotten a grab bag that was worth less than what I paid was sent out. No money exchanges hands. Let me get that straight. In the Discord, in these grab bag swaps, you say, okay, I'm going to do a $200 grab bag. They will put you on the list with all the other people that are doing a $200 grab bag. It goes into the hat. The names are drawn, and that's who you send your coins out to. You never get the coins from the person you're sending it to. It's someone else. Like I say, Secret Santa. You don't know. And a good example, I did. It was only $100 grab bag, and someone threw in a 40. It was a 47 silver maple leaf. It was worth like $400. I was like, "What? Why have you done this?" He said, "Oh, it was an extra one. I had it, so I thought I'd throw it in. That was my silver contribution." Well, he could have just sent that coin. That was it. I would have been happy. But I had tons. So it's not like eBay and those grab bags. It is a fantastic way of building up your collection. Silver Knight Kyle knocked me over with a feather. I have not seen you in ages. Pleasure, brother. Yeah. So that's something that I would recommend people looking into is getting into the decent grab bag swaps. Those are cool, especially if you want to build up your collection. I mentioned to one chap about 2 years ago, I said, you know what? I have no Indian coins, like from India. And I ended up with 2 full pages of old, we're talking, these are hundreds of years old. He had to explain to me what they were because I had no clue. So I got this large section in my world album that's all Indian coins. And they are really different. The other thing, too, is I printed off a sheet with the world coins. I printed off a sheet with all the countries in the planet. And as I get a coin from a certain country, or if I happen to go into my coin shop and I want a coin and that for a different country I'm missing, I can fill that gap. Doesn't have to be anything expensive, but I would like to have a coin from every single country, including those that have disappeared. So it makes for a very interesting album. Not worth a lot, but it's again, it's part of the hobby. I mean, are any of you doing the same thing? Field guy. Well, hello there. Yes, Santa is back up in the North Pole. This guy, after 42 straight days, I needed a break. So how many of you are also season collectors? Do you have the tools that you need, whether it be scales or magnifying glasses or calipers or all kinds of different things? I can't watch Treasure Woman with her B game. It makes me dizzy too. It makes me very, very busy. Anyway. Yeah, if you guys get a chance, check out Coining Around. What if that's a fun channel to go on. That's a good and that's a great way of doing your collecting as well. I do that with my challenge coins, Kyle. I only collect challenge coins from units I've served with or were attached to places that I have been, i.e. Las Vegas and that sort of thing. And that's how I collect my challenge coin collection, is only countries and places that or units I've been to. So if you yourself, I know you're into the music industry and all that stuff. I could see where you may as well pick it up in all the different countries you go to. Yeah, I could see that there, Field Guy. Oh, cool. I don't even bother with the Coinstars these days because 99% of the people aren't using any change still. I'm still finding after all this time, the you go up to the cashier and you give them money and they got this shocked look on your face, like, what? Why? Just use your card. And then I walk through the mall and I see signs. We do not accept cash here, only cards. Well, as a collector, that freaks me out. Going to get to the point where the only coins they're going to start making are the mint coins, just for collectors. Yeah, what I always did is I as I exit the store, I always glanced in to see if any of the rejects are sitting down there, or maybe something on the floor. Oh, cool. Ogre Coins, I haven't seen you in a long time. Nice to see you. Yeah, lot's been going on with my friend Dale over in the UK that he's trying to get straightened away. So I think he'll be coming online with us more often once he resettles. In the process, I believe, of the move. And we also have to find out what's going on with our friend Austrian Stacker, who is going through a few things himself. My excuse for 2 months almost, I was off. I ended up picking up a real bad pneumonia, and then that was followed by stomach flu. So 6 weeks I was down and out, and it took me a couple more weeks just to get myself to the point where I could sit in front of the screen and chit chat with you. Those are nice, really nice. My goodness. I have some ancients, but my favorite one is I have a silver denarius from Antony's Legions, and that's my pride and joy for my ancients. Love to get into more of them, but I bought a whole bunch of them at one time, but they ended up many of them just looked like nothing. They were in such bad shape. So I said, no, from now on, I want an attribution. I don't want to be looking them up. I know a lot of the guys enjoy the research on those, but boy, you talk about difficult. It's not like us guys with the modern coinage, and I'm talking modern, anything that's like within the last 500 years. You get into those real ancient ones, and it's brutal. It's like you got to be able to hopefully have some Latin text or Greek text that you're looking at that you can recognize from other photos, and the design of the on the obverse, whatever the emperor might look like, and There's umpteen different model makes and models with the reverses, and by the time I finished, I was really tired. And the worst part was I tried to identify them, and then I had a chap that's really into the ancients take a look at them. He goes, "Nope, that's wrong. Nope, that's wrong. Nope, that's right." I said, "You know what? Forget it. I'll get the attributions done first. I'll have it." Yeah, Kyle, you know what? I really do miss hanging out with you. It's I'm sure you know, like life pulls us in different directions, but sure thing. You know, I'd like to have some chit chats and get caught up, get the hobbies more stimulated now that the Christmas holidays are over and done with. We're getting into all the other wild and wonderful ones, and I'm really looking forward to the March coin show that's coming up here in Edmonton. I know it's not as big as the US coin shows, but it's the biggest one we got in Canada. So I'm looking forward to doing that and maybe sharing some of that with you as well. All right. What have we got here? Okay, I'm going to stay on for just the hour. So anybody got anything else you want to bring up in the next 3 minutes? By all means, please do. You know what, Kyle? I'd have to ask my son. I'm not into hockey or football or any of that stuff. I'm euchre and cribbage and maybe some liar's dice, poker definitely. You want to talk about poker and the World Series of Poker? We can talk about that. But Oilers, no. I think what made me lose my interest is the cost of the seats. The fact that it irks me to see that they're making all these millions of dollars over there. Yet we get young soldiers going off doing their thing. They're getting paid pittance for what they're doing and putting their life on the line. I mean, it just somehow it doesn't seem balanced. It's just not right to me. So yeah, if the blue section were still $10 a seat and not 110, I might be interested. Just too expensive. I can spend that kind of money. I'll get myself some decent coins. My, oh my. And since it's been that long since I've seen everybody, I'll show you. I'll show. I'm sure some of you have already seen this, but I having such a dark sense of humor, I've got to share it with you. I was doing my Santa gig, and a young lad, I think he was from Pakistan. I don't know what he was eating. About 9 years old, sat in my lap, and he farted so bad that he embarrassed himself and ran off just as the photographer clipped the photo. And this is what was the result. Not nice. Not nice at all. But being I have a dark sense of humor, if it hadn't been me, I would have thought it was funny. But it melted my suit. Yeah. My goodness. So with that, everybody, that's my first kick at the cat. I will be back a week from today. Hopefully, I will have Austrian Stacker and Dale with me then. But I will carry on and do some later years for Canadian coinage. And if anybody wants to discuss any history during those time frames, by all means, please do. In the meantime, support the online community. Visit the various channels. There's a lot of them out there that are really awesome. And with that, I bid you adieu, and we will catch you all later. Cheers, everybody.